The difference between working 60-hour weeks and 40-hour weeks is as simple as having the right systems with your assistant. If you're like most entrepreneurs, you're drowning in emails, your calendar's a mess. Every day you have multiple surprises that you just can't seem to get out from under all that administrative mess, and you're constantly putting out fires instead of working on the strategy of the business. Today, I'm going to show you the exact process I use that saves me at least 15 hours every single week and helps me to work with my virtual assistant more effectively. My name is Matt Beatty. I own and run 4 different companies. I'm home every day by 4:30. I continue to spend a lot of time with my family outside of work, and I stay very well organized because I run and manage my business on systems and processes. And today, I'm going to share the exact process I use for working with my offshore executive assistant so that you can leverage this process to take control of your life as an entrepreneur. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen right now, and we'll dive into the exact document we use that you could make a copy of to help make your week run more efficiently. There'll be a link to this document in the description of the video. And what you want to do is simply click File, make a copy, and make your own copy of this so that you can edit your own version as we walk through it. And I'm going to walk you through right now exactly how I use this document to partner with my executive assistant and gain back those 15 plus hours every single week. Now, first of all, this is meant to be a comprehensive guide to help you establish a successful partnership with you and your executive or virtual assistant. What it does is provides clarity on roles and expectations, leverage established protocols that I've created over the last 5 years of working with executive and virtual assistants to help myself to maintain more accuracy in my work, make sure that I get more of my time back, and that everybody is crystal clear on the expectations. So most entrepreneurs fail with assistants because they don't have clear expectations. This document solves that problem for you once and for all. Whether you already have an assistant or you're thinking about getting one, this is a great starting place because it's going to force you to establish some rules, some working cadences over each of these core pieces of your life and world. So again, I put a link in the description. Make sure you find the document. And let's go ahead and go into it. So let's talk about the core partnership principles. For the executive, it's critical that you trust your assistant, right? If you're going to delegate anything, you want to make sure that you are trusting them to do the work and that you continually invest time and energy into training them. One of the biggest challenges I see is that people hire an executive or a virtual assistant and they think they're going to be a self-licking ice cream cone. Like they're just going to know what to do, when to do it all the time. They need guidance, they need training, they need resources just like anybody else you would hire on your team. You cannot treat them differently. You have to communicate clearly and consistently provide feedback. So that's one thing that I've gotten better at over the years is instead of just getting frustrated and accepting work or starting to take it back myself, which is the worst thing you can do, is to take the work back. I call it boomerang delegation and start doing it yourself. No, provide feedback so that they can do it better next time. Nobody does everything perfect on the first time. You need to be reasonable and understand that. And for the assistant, if you're watching this, your job is to protect the executive's time at all costs. So filter distractions, prioritize important matters. I'll give you a really good example of this. My assistant recently was chatting me emails that she thought were important to me. And I had to make sure I let her know gently that her job is to protect my time. I don't want to see those emails in real time or I would be in my inbox. The next big thing that we really spend a lot of time training our assistants on is to be proactive, anticipate the needs before they arise, and be constantly looking for ways to improve and take ownership of processes. So we go ahead and we make sure that you've got clear expectations, you're giving them necessary access, you're supporting their growth, and then we make sure that everybody's clear on what their roles are. So what is the assistant's role? And this is where you're going to want to get in to start editing the document yourself. For example, I don't do a lot of travel, so I might not necessarily leave that in there. And also, my wife is a travel agent, so if she sees my virtual assistant in there managing my travel, I don't think she's going to be too psyched about that. But the reality is that I still need my virtual assistant to go ahead and put all of the documents, notes, anything that I need for an event if I'm going somewhere. But right here is where you want to start to edit the document in terms of what their support expectations are, what they're going to handle, what they're not going to handle. And let's look at communication protocols because this is really, really, really important. So, what are your preferred communication channels as the executive or entrepreneur? Well, for me, I have this filled out. I prefer chat over everything else. I hired you to stay out of email. I don't want text messages. Chat, I will check it as I'm available. And if something's urgent, again, for me, it just goes to chat because chat is one of the few things I have notifications on my phone. So I tell my team to chat with me only during business hours, and I make sure that I am available to do so. And so it just goes on to say, hey, what are our project management tools? And if you're a client of Outsource Scale, this actually makes it really easy. So if you tell us Trello is your project management tool before we get started, then we are going to start training that individual more on Trello, even if they've used it in the past, just to make sure that they are prepared for you on your first day. We spend 8 hours training our assistants on AI and tools that they're expected to use based on their clients' needs before they ever set foot on the job. So preferred communication channels, you want to fill that in. And again, the expectation is you share this with your virtual assistant once they start. So spend some time building this out and making sure it's accurate before they start. Next up, response expectations. So we tell the virtual assistants before they start with our clients at Outsource Scale that they should be responding within 15 minutes. But your expectations may be different. Hey, I expect a response within an hour. After hours, I just removed this. I don't want anything after hours and weekends. I only want you working during the times you're designated to work. And that's it. But you may have something different, a different arrangement with your virtual assistant or executive assistant. Meeting cadence. So for us, I always recommend, and I always do a 15-minute alignment daily. And I don't stop this after the first 4 to 6 weeks because again, there's like in the moment coaching opportunities. Hey, I saw you put this email in this folder. Next time, please make sure it goes in this folder. There's also just, let's go through my calendar for the day. Where are opportunities for you to plug in and help? Does that information need to be entered into the CRM? Just a 15-minute check-in saves a lot of time and energy down the road. It is so worth it. And you can do it from anywhere. I'll do these from my car while I'm driving. I'll do them from the desk. I'll do them from the gym. I've done them sometimes. They don't have to be this big formal thing, but they are super helpful to both you and your assistant. And then weekly, we'll get a longer form meeting on the books. And then monthly, I want to make sure I'm almost treating it like a performance assessment in that, hey, here's some opportunities to improve. Here's some things we can work on. Are we meeting the goals that we originally set out in this partnership together? All right, so next up, calendar management. Now, this one I would suggest spending a good amount of time on. So I really have this built out. I have a table in here for every single day. I went ahead and just built a table in for what I want my days to look like. So for, example, on Monday's a big planning day for me. It's a content creation day. So I have the time blocked from really the entire day. We have a couple of standing meetings, but outside of that, I've got maker time blocked. I've got lunchtime blocked where I'm thinking, I'm working through bigger problems. And then Tuesdays, I've got the afternoons blocked for sales meetings. So I have a routine for each day. That way she knows exactly where to put a meeting for if somebody reaches out and they want to, they're interested in buying something from us and we need to put a sales meeting on the book. She knows Tuesday and Thursday afternoons are when I put those sales meetings on my calendar as an example. And then you're going to want a calendar color coding system. Again, you can use this or you can do something different for your calendar. Also, make sure you edit this. What do you want invites to look like? For me, I made slight modifications to this, but this is very similar to how I want my calendar invites to look. I don't want meetings without agenda. I don't want meetings, no shows for meetings. She's even beyond the automations. My assistant is following up and making sure everybody's going to be at the meeting so that we don't waste our time. She makes sure that we have buffers in there. These are great rules. They're easy for you to just go in, make quick modifications to, and then pass along to your assistant as their guidepost for how they should manage your calendar. And then again, now we've got tier 1. What's the highest to lowest things of where we should be. So for tier one, I've got a you know, scheduled workout, I guess. It's pretty funny what is here in the tier one: health appointments, doctor appointments, therapy sessions, scheduled workouts. Probably true in tier one, and then revenue generating activities, things that are sales calls like that. But then, these sort of pick your brain intro calls, things like that are tier five lowest, and you can modify that to your needs. Scheduling order of operations. So they have everything they need, but you're going to make sure that you, as the entrepreneur, need to go in here and modify this so that your assistant knows exactly how you want it. And then you'll also know if something's not scheduled the way you like, you need to come back and adjust here at the home base level rather than at the per meeting level. Email management. This is another section I would spend a good amount of time on, especially right here, expectations and guideline. My expectation is not twice daily. My expectation is anytime I log into my inbox, it should be empty. I don't want to see emails when I go in there. Now, obviously, I know anytime I go in, there's going to be 2 or 3 from the last time she was in there because she's working on projects throughout the day, etc. But I don't want to be distracted by emails, but I often have to go into my inbox to search for things or look for previous conversations. So now we have the categories and handling protocols. So action required. These are the folders I use. I highly recommend them. They're very simple to follow. They have bullets on what goes in each one. I think the only one that can sometimes get a little confusing is the defer one. So make sure you have clear expectations on what goes in defer versus FYI only versus action items. But these give you folders you can add to your inbox where every email goes into one of these folders or is processed in some way, shape, or form so that when you log in your inbox, it should be clean and you should be going in there to look for things, not for things to find you, which I think is a really important thing to consider. So you may also determine you want some different folders or categories based on your needs. Just again, that's the whole point of this document, is to modify it and have it ready for your needs. Next up, email processing workflow. What are we looking for? How are they working through that? This is just guidance for them. Again, if you're like me and you want it processed all day, every day, then make sure you come through and you make suggestions on this. What the response times are, what the signature is, responding on behalf of the executive. I think this is a very important one. I allow my assistant to respond on my behalf. Here is the template that she uses. Usually we actually add a little preface at the beginning of this that says, hey, I got to this email before he could, and I wanted to make sure you got a speedy response. And that way they know it's coming from my assistant and not necessarily from me, but we get them the expedited response and I don't have to be in my inbox constantly. Next up, we have meeting coordination. Again, go through, update each of these sections to make sure that they match your preferences as an entrepreneur, as an executive, and how you work. Now, I will say this is a very important part. So when you work, what's your time zone? I don't know anything about gift preferences. This is actually one I need to what would I like to give more of? That's a really good one. Some examples that we need to add in here. This is an area I need to continue to build out, is like, hey, if I've got a great client or friend, or what are my 5 go-to gifts that I give to people? That's a good level of organization that we can start to work through on my side. I'm actually excited to add to that. So then you might want to add in here, what are the daily things that you expect them to do every day? What are some weekly things? And we want this really to be sort of the home base working document for your partnership with your executive or virtual assistant. And I think you'll find really everything in here gives you the opportunity to make sure you've addressed all possible circumstances. And we've got even this customization box at the end here to make sure that you're in a great place to manage the relationship. And here's one more bonus tip that most entrepreneurs miss when working with assistants. And that is really just making sure that you are thinking in terms of what can they do first. So anything that comes to my inbox or gets put on my to-do list, I think, how could my assistant do this or push this forward without me being involved this time and next time? So make sure you're always looking to delegate first. This is a who, not how kind of play, and you'd be shocked how much your assistant can handle for you if you'll just let go of the vine. Thanks so much for tuning in. I hope that this guide was helpful to you, and I hope that it helps you to establish a great relationship with your assistant. If you need further resources, leave a comment below and let me know some things that you'd be interested in learning more about, and make sure you follow this channel for more updates on how you can continue to scale and grow your business by leveraging offshore talent and automation. Thanks for joining me. I'm Matt Vady.